Rolling. Okay, good morning class. Welcome to this class that we have here today. First of all, I want to thank Mrs. Melissa Akey. She's the mathematics specialist, and she's helping me to videotape this class while I'm out. And I want to thank you very much. Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Okay, now, I would like for you to open your books and turn to page 86. Open your books and turn to page 86. Today, we're going to review Chapter 2, and our goal for the day, we're going to review lessons 2-1 and 2-6. Okay, so if you look on the page, at the bottom of page 86, our objective for lesson 2-1, we have to graph integers on a number line and compare and order integers. Okay? We have to, number one, I'm say objective for lesson 2-1, our goal, we had to graph and compare integers on a number line. Okay, you got that? Okay, now, look at problems 11 through 16. Look at problems 11 through 16. This is very simple. For example, problem number 11, we have 0 blank negative 5. Okay, we must decide if we're going to use less than or greater than. Okay, and of course, if you look at a number line, the number that is farthest to the right is the greater number, and the number is farthest to the left is the lesser number. So you put 0, and then you have negative 1, negative 2, negative, well, I started out too soon here. Let's move that over. Let's go 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. And of course, if we graph those, these are integers, you can see that negative 5 is to the left of 0. Therefore, negative 5 is less than 0, and 0 is greater. Notice that the alligator mouth is open toward the bigger number. You know about that, right? Therefore, the answer is 0 is greater than negative 5. Okay, and the next problem, we're not going to solve them all. Skip down to problem number 15. Look at problem number 15. Okay, we're going to order negative 4, 7, 4, negative 2, negative 3, and 0. How's that coming? Okay, now you're going to order these from least to greatest. Now, to order these from least to greatest, we don't have to necessarily put them on the number line. So what's the smallest number from negative 4, 7, 4, negative 2, negative 3, 0? Well, the smallest number, ironically, is the negative number with the largest absolute value, which happens to be negative 4. So we're going to go negative 4, comma. It didn't say graph them on the number line. It says order them. Okay, so we're just going to order them. So we have negative 4. What's the next one? Negative 3. What's the next one? Negative 2. By the way, you can cross these out as you go along, right? Negative 2. And what's the next one? 0. And what's the next one? 4. And of course the last one is 7. That's your answer. Can everybody see that? Very good. Now, what I'd like for you to do, I would like for you to do the remaining problems. Go ahead and do problems 12 through 16. Okay? So, you try, okay? Let's rewrite this. You try 12 through 16. Okay? Okay, now, how did you do on those problems? Let's go, I'm sure you did pretty good well on these. These are very simple. Now, let's go over those problems. Let's go over the answers. These are very simple. So now, okay, let's go over the problems. Let's start with number 12. Number 12, we have -3. We compare -3 and 3. And is it less than or greater than? Well, -3 is less than 3. Let's go to number 13. 13, we have -9 and -7. Is -9 less than -7? Of course, because it's to the left of -7. The answer is less than -7. Let's go to number 14. We have absolute value of 12. And we're comparing absolute value with -12 with -12. And of course, the absolute value of -12 is a +12. So we're now comparing +12 with -12. So is that less than or greater than? Well, +12 is greater than -12 because this is to the right of -12. Okay, we've already solved number 15. So now let's skip and let's solve number 16. Look at number 16. Number 16, we're going to order -15, -23, -18, and -20 from greatest. Be careful, I made a mistake last time. Melissa knows that. Least. Okay. All right. So now we want greatest to least. This is not like problem number 15 from least to greatest. We want greatest to least. So be very careful. So what is the largest number here? Remember, with the negative numbers, the largest number would be the smallest absolute value. So we want the smallest. So the greatest is going to be -15. Cross that one out. And the next is going to be -18. Because -15 is greater than -18. And cross -18 out. The next would be -20. And of course, the last one would be -23. And you're done. Any question about that? Okay. Now, let's move on to lesson 2-2. We're going to keep the camera rolling here, Willis, okay? Let's move on to lesson 2-2. Okay, in lesson 2-2, lesson 2-2, that's at the top of page 87. Okay, graphing points on the coordinate plane. Graphing points on a coordinate plane. Okay, now, just a moment, to pause. We're going to graph, look at problem number 17. Let's put this up here. Let's erase. Okay, we're going to graph. Let's graph, as an example, let's graph point A, which is -2, located at -2, 2, okay? And where's that located? What quadrant is that located? Okay, we have 4 quadrants here. We have quadrant 1, in which X is positive and Y is positive. We have quadrant 2, in which X is negative and Y is positive. You can tell by the negative x-axis and the positive y-axis. Then we have quadrant 3, in which both the x-axis is negative and the y-axis is positive. It'll be -x, negative y. Okay, don't forget this now. Okay, then we have quadrant 4, in which the x-axis is positive and the y-axis is negative, so it'll be a positive x, negative y. So you can tell by the signs of these coordinates, you should be able to tell by the signs of these coordinates what quadrant these order pairs are in. So let's go back. Let's look at -3, -2. So which quadrant is that in? As you can tell, that it's going to be in the second quadrant. So we can write second quadrant. Now, let's plot that, okay? How do you plot an order pair? How do you plot a -3, 2? The first place you start at the origin. Always start at the origin. Now, the reason why they're called order pairs is because they are in a particular order, x, comma, y. You plot the x first, you plot the y first. Very simple. So you start at the origin, and since the x it represents the horizontal axis, and since 3 is negative, you know that all the negative numbers goes to the left. So we go over left 3, go over stop, and then since 2 is positive, you go up positive 2 on the y-axis, and you stop. So there's your location right there. You're done. Okay? Now, what I'd like for you to do, I'd like for you to do problems 17 through 24. Take about 5 minutes to do those, okay? We'll pause for now. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we're back now. Let's look at the answers for problem number 17. And once again, we're at the top of page 87. Okay. 17 we have point P. Okay. And we have 18 we have point Q. 19 we have point N. And 20 we have point M. What's the location of point P? Well, the answer you should have 3, 2. What's the location of point Q? The answer you should have -2, 4. What's the location of point N? The answer you should have -4, -3. And number 20, you should have the location of M is 0, -4. Okay? Now notice this 0, -4, that's when x is 0 but y is -4. That means that this is the y-intercept. 0, some number, that is the y-intercept. Please remember that. Okay, now let's go to problem number 21. Okay, let's write the instructions. You want to name the quadrant. Name the quadrant in which each point is located. How does that look? Okay. So, problem number 21. Which quadrant is 6, 10 located? Well, since all is positive, it's in quadrant number 1. Okay? Let's go to number 22. 22, we have -4, 8. And since we have a negative x and a positive y, that is in quadrant 2. Let's go to number 23. We have 0, -12. Now, 0, some number, that is on the y-axis. So that means it is in, the quadrant is none. It is in no quadrant. That's a good one, right? Now let's go to number 24. We have 13, -7. Now, that's a positive x and a -7. That will be quadrant number 4. Very good. Okay, I think you've done well on that. Let's go on to and review lesson 2-3. Lesson 2-3. Okay, in lesson 2-3, our objective was to add integers. Okay, adding positive and negative integers. So, for example, so we're adding, this is lesson 2-3. We're adding integers. And we all know what integers are, right? What are integers? Spell it correct. Integers. Integers are positive and negative whole numbers. So, let's add a -2 plus a -3. Now, when you're adding two negative numbers, you're going to get a larger negative number. So a -2 plus a -3 is a -5. That is like adding two positive charges plus two negative charges plus 3 negative charges, you get 5 negative charges. Or 2 cold Qs plus 3 cold Qs, you get 5 cold Qs. Cold Qs meaning negative. The temperature goes down. All right. Now, what I'd like for you to do, go ahead and solve problems. Let's do one more example. Suppose you're adding, let's go 7x plus a negative 15x. You're adding like terms, but be careful. You're looking at the coefficients, right? Okay, so isn't that the same as 7 plus a negative 15? Well, how much is 7 plus a negative 15? That is a negative 8. Therefore, a 7x plus a negative 15x will give you what? A negative 8x. Very simple. Okay, you try, okay? You try problems. Try problems 25 through 36. And we'll pause and I'll give you about, you should be able to do those in about 5 minutes. Okay, we're back now. How did you do on that? Let's go over the answers. Problem, once again, we're adding integers. Okay, adding integers. And we're solving problems 25 through 36. Let's see if you got the right answers. Let's go to number 25. Okay, 25 we have 8 plus negative 14. Okay, you're adding 8 positive charges to 14 negative charges, or 8 hot cubes and 14 cold cubes. So you have more cold cubes than hot cubes. So what's the answer going to be, positive or negative? The answer is going to be negative. Therefore, when you're adding two numbers with opposite signs, you must do what? You must subtract. But when you subtract, because the 14 has a larger absolute value, or because you have more 14 cold cubes or 14 negative charges, the answer is going to be negative. So you're going to subtract. So 8 plus a negative 14 will give you a negative 6. Be very careful, okay? So if I'll say one thing to you about adding integers, you must do what? You must watch your, what's the last word? Watch your signs. And what's that word I've been teaching in class? You must be meticulous. That's the word I've been teaching Melissa. Meticulous. And you must watch these inconspicuous changes. That's another word they learned, inconspicuous. Okay, so the answer is negative 6. Let's go to number 26. Okay, 26 we have negative 7 plus 5. Okay, now you have more cold cubes than hot cubes. You have 7 cold cubes, 5 hot cubes. That means is my answer going to be positive or negative? Correct, it's going to be negative. Negative what? You're going to subtract because you're adding two integers with opposite signs. Subtract, you get 2. So my answer is a negative 2. Any questions? Okay, 27. Now we have negative 8 plus a negative 2. Now you're adding 8 cold cubes plus 2 cold cubes. What's going to happen? You're starting at the negative, the temperature is 8 below 0. Now you go down 2 more. It's going to be what? A net negative 10 below 0. Very good. Let's go to number 28. We have negative 8 plus 8. Well, now you're just simply adding opposite signs that have opposite values, right? So now you're going to subtract, you're going to get 0. They cancel out each other. Okay, they are opposites. Number 29, we have 23. Am I going too fast? Plus, let's slow it down, negative 18. Once again, you're adding, you have more positive hot cubes than negative or cold cubes, right? So you're going to subtract. What's 18 from 23? That would be a positive what? A positive 5. Okay, let's go to number 30. Number 30, we're adding negative 14 plus a negative 12. Do not let these parentheses fool you. They're just there to throw you off, okay? Basically, you're just simply adding negative 14. It's the same as a negative 14 plus a negative 12 without the parentheses. It just looks different, but they're the same thing. So what's the answer for both of these? Well, you're adding two negatives. Two negatives give you a lower negative. So 14 plus, negative 14 plus a negative 12 will give you a negative 26. Negative 26. Okay, very good. Number 31. 31, we have negative 10. Let's get a new sheet here, okay? And a little better here. So number 31, we have negative 10 plus 3 plus a negative 6 plus 8. Now, look at these numbers here. What would be a good thing to do to make it a lot easier so that you will not make a mistake? Let's group all of the numbers together that have the like sign. So what will we do? Let's group the negative 10 plus the negative 6 plus the positive 3 plus the positive 8. Look what I done here. So basically, what property am I using here? I'm basically using the commutative property of addition. Okay? That's what I'm doing. Okay. So, that allows me to do that. That allows me to group the negative terms together. Okay? And now, I'm just having fun. So now how much is negative 10 plus negative 6? That's a negative 16. Plus, positive 3 plus the positive 8 is a positive 11. Now, you're adding a negative number plus a positive number. When you're adding two integers with opposite signs, what do? Do you add or do you subtract? You must subtract. But is my answer going to be positive or negative? It's going to be negative because I have 16 cold, I have more cold cubes than hot cubes, right? Cold cubes meaning the numbers are negative, hot cubes mean the numbers are positive. So if I subtract 11 from 16, I'm going to get a negative 5. Very good. Let's go to number 32. Problem number 32. Problem number 32. 32 we have 7 plus negative 5 plus negative 7 plus 15. Okay, once again, can we group all of the integers with the same signs? Yes. Which integers have the same sign? We have 7 and 15. Put them together. 7 plus 15. Now, what's the remaining two? Plus a negative 5 plus a negative 7. Okay? Now, let's add the 7 and the 15. How much is 7 plus 15? That's 22. Plus, how much is a negative 5 plus a negative 7? That is a negative 12. Okay, now we have two integers, one positive, one negative. What does that mean? Do we add or subtract? We must subtract. What will the answer be, positive or negative? The answer is going to be positive because we have more hot cubes than cold cubes. Once again, hot being positive numbers, cold being negative. So, if you subtract 20, take 22, subtract 12, if you do it the old school way, vertically, that gives you 0, right? And 1 from 2 would be 10. So my answer would be what? A positive 10 or a negative 10? It's going to be a positive 10. Positive 10. And what must you do when you're adding integers with opposite signs? You must watch your signs. Let's put exclamation mark here, okay? You must watch your signs, right? Okay. And you must be what? How do you spell the word meticulous? You must be meticulous in mathematics. And you will never make a mistake. Okay, very good. Okay, that's all of lesson 2-, this is all of lesson 2-3. Okay, now let's go to lesson 2-4. Let's go to lesson 2-4. Lesson 2-4, we're subtracting integers. Okay, so lesson 2-4, we're subtracting integers. Okay, now, there's an old rule. The rule says you're adding the opposite. Write that down. Subtracting integers. Subtracting, I'm sorry, I didn't write that correct here. Subtracting when subtracting integers, comma, what? Add the opposite. So basically, you are changing what? You're changing from addition, I'm sorry, you're changing from subtraction to addition. Let's look at an example. Okay, we're going to find 7 minus a negative 3. What's the rule say? When subtracting integers, add the opposite. So now I'm going to change the subtraction to a positive. I'm going to change it from subtraction to addition. See, change from subtraction to addition. So that is equal to 7 plus, right? I changed the operation from subtraction to addition, but I must change from what? I must add the opposite. What's the opposite of negative 3? Positive 3. So basically what you're doing, when you change the subtraction to addition, you're going to change the sign of the number to the right, which is better known as Septuagint, right? Because you know subtraction is not commutative. Okay? So for example, this 7 minus a negative 3, this number right here is called the minuend. And this number here, the negative 3, is called the subtrahend. Remember back in elementary school you have, for example, if this was 7, subtract 3, for example, the 7 is the top number is the minuend. And then the bottom number is the, I'm just going to write sub, okay? All right, so the number on the right is the subtrahend. That's the number that will always change from positive to negative or negative to positive. So, getting back, we have 7 minus a negative 3. Change from addition, from subtraction to addition, that'll be 7 plus, and change the subtrahend sign only to positive 3. So now you have 7 plus a positive 3, which is positive 10. Remember those rules, okay? Okay, let's move on. I'd like for you to do, I will do number 37 and number 38, and then you will do the rest, okay? So here's number 37, another example. We have 6 minus 14. Now, we must change this from addition to subtraction. So isn't this the same as, isn't that equal to 6 minus a positive 14? Same thing. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to change this from addition, from subtraction to addition, and change that from a positive to a negative. So this becomes what? 6. Change that to what? To plus, and change that to what? To negative 14. So now you have 6 plus negative 14. That's 6 hot cubes plus 14 cold cubes. So you're going to subtract, but is my answer going to be positive or negative? Well, since I have more cold cubes than positive cubes, it's going to be a negative what? A negative 8. You're finished. Any questions? Okay. Now the way I learned it back when I was in junior high school a long time ago, when I see that minus sign in front of the number, to me, that subtract sign makes this 14 negative. That's why I see it. So automatically, I would go in my mind 6 plus a negative 14. It was just natural to me. But for some reason, everybody has different learning styles and people don't see it that easy. But whenever you see a subtract sign, once again, we see a subtract sign in front of the 14, that makes that 14 negative. So it changes from 6 plus negative 14. Very simple. Okay, let's do one more, then you'll be on your own. Go to number 38. Problem number 38, we have negative 11 minus a negative 15. Now what is that rule? When subtracting integers, add the opposites. So I'm going to change this to what? Plus plus. Let's go plus plus, right? So that becomes negative 11 plus a positive, what? 5. Now, more cold cues than positive hot cues, so what? You're going to subtract because you're adding two integers with opposite signs, so my answer is going to be positive, or is it going to be negative? It's going to be negative because the 11 has what? The greater opposite value. There's more negative charges or cold cues. So now, the answer is going to be what? A negative 6. Very simple. Okay, what I'd like you to do now, take about, I'll give you about, let's see, 5 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, okay? And so solve problems. I'm going to write here, you try problems. I did 3, right? You try problems 39 through 46. And what are you going to do? You're going to watch your signs. Okay, we'll pause right here and I'll be back with you in just a moment, 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay. We're back now. Let's go over the answers. Okay, we had to do problems 39 through 46. Am I correct? Okay, problem 39. What's the answer? 39. The answer, you should have 4 minus a negative 5. The answer, you should have 9. Problem number 40, you have negative 3 minus 5. What's the answer? You're adding 2 negative, that should be a negative 8. Very simple. Okay, let's go to number 41. We have negative 6 minus a negative 2. Well, what happens with that? That's plus plus. So that's a negative 6 plus 2. So what's the answer? A negative 4. Very good. Let's go to number 42. And how does that look? Number 42, we have 10 minus a negative 10. Well, that's also what? We have a subtract sign and a negative sign side by side. Just go plus plus. That is 10 plus 10. The answer is 20. Number 43, we have, now you're going to evaluate. So what is 2 minus x? Well, the value of x is how much? That's 2 minus, just put the parentheses in place of the x. Now, what's going to go inside the parentheses in place of the x? Well, according to the book, we're letting x equal to 3. So now you have 2 minus 3, which is a negative 1. Number 44, we have y minus z. Now watch the ones that are subtraction, okay? Now what is y? Replace the y and the z with parentheses. Now what are you going to replace the y with? Well, we're going to replace the y with a negative 5. And what are you going to replace the z with? You replace the z with negative 1. Well, now that gives you a negative 5 minus a negative 1. Now that goes plus plus, right? So that gives you a negative 5 plus 1, which is a negative 4. So the answer for number 44 is a negative 4. Okay, am I going too fast? Let's go to number 45. 45, we have x plus y, minus z. Okay, replace the x, y, and the minus z with parentheses, and you're just going to plug them in. We have x plus y, let's do this over. X plus y, this is y, minus z. What goes in here for the x? The x is 3. What goes in here for the y? The y is negative 5. And what do we replace for the z here? The z is negative 1. Okay, so that gives you 3 plus negative 5 plus 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. And we're done. Okay, let's move on. Let's go on to lesson 2-5. Lesson 2-5. Okay, lesson 2-5, we learn how to multiply integers. So lesson 2-5, 2-5, we're going to multiply integers. Okay, what are the basic rules that you must remember to multiply integers? Well, a positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a negative, this should be times a negative, is a positive. Okay, and then a positive times a negative is negative, and a negative times a positive is also a negative. So what's the basic rule here? When the signs are alike, they're always positive when you multiply. When the signs are opposite, they're always negative when you multiply. Now the same thing is true with division. Let's go to lesson at the same time, simultaneously, let's go to lesson 2-6. Okay, here you are dividing integers. Okay, dividing integers. Now, what are the rules for dividing integers as far as signs are concerned? A positive divided by positive give us a positive. Okay, a negative divided by negative gives you also a positive. Okay, over here, now you have a positive divided by negative gives you a negative. And then we have a negative divided by positive gives us also a negative. Notice the similarity between multiplication and division. Like signs, right? Like signs, you get positive. Unlike signs, what do you get? Unlike signs, you get negative. Same thing true here. Here, like signs, you get positive. Unlike signs, you get what? You get negative. Remember, you must watch these inconspicuous, right? Inconspicuous changes. That's that favorite word I've been teaching you guys, right? And you must be what? You must be, what's that word again? Meticulous. In mathematics. Don't forget these signs. If you forget them, you're going to get it wrong, because signs are very important in mathematics, as you know. Okay, now let's move on. I'm going to solve 2 in each section, then I want you to do the rest, okay? You can do it. I'm going to solve the first 2 in lesson 2-5 for the multiplication. So we're going to solve, what is number 47? We're multiplying. We want to find each product. Okay, -7 times a -5. Same sign, it's going to be a positive what? 7 times 5 is 35. You're done. And number 48, what's the next one? We have 8 times -4. 2 opposite signs, that's going to be a negative how much? 4 times 8 is a -32. You're done. Okay, now let's get down to the division part. We have 55. We have 42 divided by -6. That's horizontally, that's the same as what? 42 over -6. One's positive, one's negative. Now, since 42 is divisible by 6, that gives us a what? -7. Because a positive divided by negative is negative. And the next problem is 56, I'm sorry. 56, we're going to divide -63. A -63 divided by how much? A -7. And let's change it to vertical. -63 divided by -7. Now, what would be the sign when you're dividing 2 integers with the same sign? And the answer is going to be what? It's going to be positive. It's going to be a positive what? A positive 9. Be careful you watch for those signs, okay? Now, what I'd like for you to do, I want you to solve or try problems. Try problems 49 through 54 and try problems in the division section. Try problems 57 to 60. Okay? I'll give you about 5 minutes. Okay? You should be able to do those in 5 minutes. Okay, we'll pause right here and I'll be back with you in about 5 minutes, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, let's go over the answers. What's the answer for number 49? You should have 36. What's the answer for number 50? You should have negative 20. Okay, what's the answer for number 51? You should have 27. What's the answer for number 52? You should have negative 126. And number 53, a negative 7 times a positive 6m, that's a negative 42m. And number 54, you have what? You have negative 3x times negative 15y. What will that be? That'd be positive, that's the same as negative 3 times negative 15 times x times y. Notice I put everything together. Negative 3 times negative 15 gives us a positive what? A positive 45xy. Because x times y is equal to x times y, so your answer is 45xy. You're done. Let's go to the next part here, okay? Now let's go over the division problems. Number 57. 57, you have what? The answer should be a negative 24 divided by 4, you should have an 86. Number 58, you have what? Negative 4 divided by negative 5, you have 8. Number 59, I'll just take the answer. 59, you should have a negative 8. Now, how to get that? That'll be 6a divided by c. What is a? 6 times negative 4 over, and what is c? C is 3, so 6 times negative 4 is a negative 24 divided by 3, which is a negative 8. Okay? And number 60, the last problem, you should have negative 1. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do, class, study for the test tomorrow. You should, if you have time remaining in class, go ahead and solve Chapter 2 test on page 89, and I want you to solve all problems. That'll be problems 1 through 33. Okay? And go over every problem, and make sure that you go over every problem yourself. You go over every problem yourself, and I think the answers to these problems are in the back of the book, at least the art problems. Okay? Are there any questions? Okay. You have a good day, and good luck on the test tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.